Good morning, it's Wednesday, and I have a lot to do today. I need to clean and really start to pack up the house. It's not work I want to do. I've been reading in my abandonment book, and there's a concept that I think is really interesting. It talks about the victim's tendency to idealize the person who abandoned them. And the why of it I think is fascinating, because I think it rings really true with me. It's hard sometimes when you think you're special, and then a book like this illustrates exactly what you're going through as typical, and it makes you feel less special. It's normalizing too, but it makes you feel like, oh, I'm just like everybody else. And I really like feeling special. But the whole point is that when you've been left behind, you tend to idealize the person who left you, and you put them on a pedestal and you make them greater than they are, because it helps justify the immense amount of pain you're feeling. Since you're hurting so badly, they must have been extraordinarily special, just the greatest thing in the world. Because that would make sense, because I'm so hurt. I'm in so much pain. I'm so devastated. Therefore, they must have been great. Even if they're not great, it's a human tendency to do that to make ourselves feel better. And here's yet another one in this section on rage and anger. There was a quick bit where it talked about how victims don't necessarily feel strong enough to direct their anger at the person who left them. It went on to talk about how they take it out on other people, and I don't think I've done that. Like, I'm really trying to be careful not to lash out and be angry at people. But it talked about just being gun shy of rejection and not feeling strong enough to direct the anger at the person who hurt you, which I definitely feel. I mean, I feel like I feel it for different reasons, but it's probably all the same. I know that if I get angry and lash out at her, she'll just go away. But she's already gone away. So isn't that funny? It is. I'm just textbook. She's hurt and destroyed me, and I'm afraid of lashing out and hurting her. And I need to get over that. I'm working on it. And then the last sentence was, they're afraid of lashing out at the person who abandoned them because of whatever chance, how slim, of them may be coming back. And that was super potent. And we've talked about this some here. I don't think it's that I believe it'll be the way it was, but I think it's more vague than that. I know she's not going to come back and it's all going to be the same, but I think it's more what it represents in terms of if she came back and could alleviate the pain that I feel every single day. I hurt and I'm anxious and I want that to leave. And I think that's how it manifests for me. We'll never be the same, I know that. Her coming back in whatever form would represent an alleviation of pain. That's all. I do definitely feel broken, and I'm not trying to be negative today. I just, when I went out for drinks with a friend the other night, we talked about what it feels like to have anxiety and what it feels like to have stress, and how it is very much physical. You can do meditation, you can slow your breathing down, you can do everything to try and get it under control, you can do thought exercises, but it's still there. Right now, driving this car, my heart is squeezed. And I'm not really even sure why today, and I guess that's where the therapy part of it comes in. If I sit here and I focus and I think, why am I anxious right now? What are the things that are affecting me or have affected me in the past couple days? So mediation was on Monday, and that had a pretty big effect on me in terms of willfully going forward to end a marriage I don't want to end, spending more time with my wife than I have spent with her since before we broke up, having that conversation with her where she used all her tactics, the aggressiveness, the anger, the really cruel words, the sweetness, the tears, and each thing affects me differently. None of it was new, but the totality of it all, it affects you. And I think most potent of it all was, of course, when she cried. Because even though she's mean to me, and even though she doesn't look as good to me, I still think she's beautiful in a more holistic way. Like, I'm still attracted to her. I still think she's beautiful. And when she cried, the softness that got added to the beauty, it just, that's why I shouldn't talk to her, because it melted my heart, because there were tears, and she was softer, and she said she was so sorry. Yeah, she said, I'm so sorry, never meant to hurt you. So the words are amazing, and it's exactly what I want to hear, except she did hurt me. She did do all these things, so they're at odds with each other. And I think that's part of the problem. She said the things I wanted to hear, but they're not consistent with her actions and her attitudes, so they're just words. Like, they are not to be trusted. That adds to the puzzle in my head again. Then it becomes, what's going on? How did this come to pass? Blah, blah, blah. She said something about being so anxious and stressed about surgery and having these 2 capital cases due and all these things. And she said she doesn't want to have a mental breakdown like she did last summer. And I said, I know, I was there. I asked her if she had feelings for him while she was recovering last summer. And she wouldn't answer the question. She said that's the kind of thing we could talk about if we went to therapy. So I feel like I did get an answer to the question. If she didn't, she would say, no, of course not. I think I drew a lot of strength from the value I got from feeling so lucky to be in that relationship. You know, early on, I couldn't believe she loved me. I couldn't believe she wanted to be with me. I couldn't believe she wanted me to move with her. I couldn't believe we could live in such a cool place in San Diego. I couldn't believe she wanted to get married to me. I couldn't believe our wedding was so wonderful. I couldn't believe our life was so happy. And all of that just pushed me to be better. It pushed me to be deserving of what I was getting, since I didn't feel like, since I didn't feel entitled to what I was getting. I felt outclassed and outmatched, and she was so much prettier than me. Like, all of that, it drove me to do more. It gave me energy. It gave me purpose. I just worked to be worthy of her. Maybe it's just the phrasing. That doesn't sound good, because that sounds like she was idealized the whole time. I just felt amazing, and I wanted to do better for us. And I wanted to be better, and I wanted to succeed, and I never wanted to give the relationship a chance to fail. And maybe that's part of it. I drew so much energy from the relationship, and I tried so hard that it's sort of a double whammy to be broken up with, because one of my sources of energy has gone away, one of my sources of strength, one of my, my power has left, and I failed at something I worked so hard, so presently for. I was always aware. I never let that relationship slip. I never took it for granted. So to fail at that is pretty demoralizing. To fail at that is demoralizing, and then to lose one of your energy cores and like sources of pride and power, it makes it harder to fight. But I'm not one to just sit and be depressed. I don't have a lot of fight in me, but I have to stay moving. And what do you do with that? Do you just wander around? I don't know. Maybe that's why I talk on the phone so much. When people tough love me on the phone, and I do appreciate it, but it's hard. It's a complicated feeling. I'm not done being enmeshed with her. I mean, I'm slowly pulling myself apart. But she was able to do it very, very quickly. And I feel like there's a message there. There's some strength I need to take from that, because if one person was and one person wasn't, is that indicative of some level of commitment to a relationship? She's very good at putting together stories of justification. So, if I had to look at it from her side, she can't explain why she fell in love with him. That's what she said the other day. I don't know why this happened to us. I don't know why I fell in love with him. I don't know, I guess in my book, if you're in love with someone, then you're not open to love with other people. I thought that was her justification too, except she did become open to love with somebody else. Maybe it just started as a flirtation or whatever, but it became something else, didn't it? But that's kind of what happened with she and I too. With her and I. We were friends. We were friends for a long time, but really good friends. And she told me that she kind of hated her, like she really didn't like her boyfriend. And now I wonder, has the same been said about me? I was so sick of my husband. I don't know. But what I can tell you is, from my perspective, she never, ever, ever let on. And there's something wrong with that. There's something wrong there. Based on our origin story, I was special. She fell hard in love with me, and I did with her, and it was amazing. And that was special, and that made me fight. And when she tells their origin story, they fell in love hard with each other, and she was in love with him, and he was in love with her. It doesn't feel as special when it happens twice like that, does it? It feels more like a pattern. And I think when you go from feeling special to feel like being part of somebody's pattern, it's pretty demoralizing, you know? I wasn't her one true love, I was just part of the pattern. So knowing that, I should be able to sit here and say, well, then the pattern will probably just repeat itself. But since I'm so defeated, I don't have that confidence. And since she said things like she wants to have a family with him, that has destroyed me. That has blown my confidence and made me feel less than. Even if it's just part of a manipulation, the things she said to me over the course of this breakup are cruel. And there's things I haven't told you that I can't tell you. On Monday when she said, I feel like I married a con artist. I knew going into this that when it came down to money, she would say I was a gold digger or something like that. I never expected the term con artist. And I think that's part of why I'm upset today too, is one, that she said it, two, the fact that she would say that. Because if I ever said anything that inflammatory to her, she would blow up and go away. But she feels like she can say anything to me. And that comes back to the whole dominance hierarchy. She does it because she can. And at this point in time, I should... See, the mind is fine. I should do it too. I should be fighting for position. I should be defending myself and fighting back. Yes, I should. But I don't for several reasons. I don't because I argue, or I justify it by arguing it's not consistent with who I know me to be. And that's true. I've never been an attacker in our relationship. I'm not cruel. She's always presented as sort of soft and in need of love. And I've given her that over and over again. Like, I've never been cruel to her, ever. So to be cruel now, or to be aggressive like that now, wouldn't be consistent with who she knew me to be in the relationship. But why does that matter? She's not acting consistent with who I knew her to be, and it doesn't matter. So it's this mental confliction of, I don't know who to be or how. I don't know what the best way to be is. Typically what works for me is to be nice to people and to be kind, and that's worked for my whole life. So to be told now I need to get angry and be aggressive towards the person I have loved most in my life, you're really at odds with yourself. You have to show her strength. You have to not take any of her crap. Part of the relationship was me taking her crap, knowing that I'm stronger than she is and I can help her through stuff. I keep fighting this feeling that I could fix it. I look at these other relationships that aren't as good as the relationship I had, and I keep thinking, I could have fixed it. I could have made it work, which ignores the whole fact that she didn't want to fix it. She just didn't want me anymore. And I wonder how long it's going to take for that feeling to go away. And maybe today's just a low day. Maybe it's part of the healing process. The problem is she just texted me and she wants to come by in the morning to talk about dividing up our stuff. And I'm conflicted again. I don't feel like seeing her will be good for me. Because it never is. But I have to allow her that, right? The opportunity to come in and figure out what belongs to whom and how we'll divide it up. It will also make my going forward easier if, when I get a place, I know what's mine and what I can take. People who care about me don't think I should see her anymore. And I agree, because seeing her makes me feel like I feel today. Like I've plummeted. I'm definitely not as good today as other days. Like I feel like dividing up our stuff is a necessary part of this terrible process. The whole thing is so crazy. It's so maddening. It's basically this. You go through your life thinking your judgment is sound. You're a good judge of people. You know, you're a sensible person. You're able to judge other people. And going through this experience with her like this just fills me with doubt. Like, was I a poor judge of her the whole time? How do you end up in a situation like I'm in right now? When you're a good person and fun and funny and active and attentive and in fairly good shape, and why isn't that the kind of relationship, if it goes bad, that fades out? Not one that just leads to your abandonment. So you second guess everything. You second guess experiences, you second guess her motives, you second guess things that were said, or things that were said that she explained away that you made allowances for, that you're later like, oh, was that more effed up than I even thought? But reviewing what got said to me in the car on Monday, it's just all over the place. You know, what she told me was she can't handle the emotional stuff right now because she's too freaked out that I'm going to try and screw her financially. But she knows me. She knows who I am. She's known me for a long time. She knows that I wouldn't do that. That's crazy. The same way she freaked out and thought I was going to screw her over and take her off my health insurance. Who would do that to somebody they love? Like, it didn't even cross my mind. And then she said it and I was like, oh my God, that's absurd. That she can't deal with the emotional stuff right now because she's so terrified I'm going to try and screw over financially. So once we're divorced and I no longer have control over her life, then we can go to therapy and we can deal with the emotional side of this. And I said, that is absurd. I said, it doesn't work like that. You don't cheat on someone, blindside them with a breakup, leave them alone, don't help them process, just let them flounder, say cruel things, then go through the divorce process, and then open the Pandora's box of emotions to try and make sense of things. The reason people go to therapy, in my opinion, is to work on the relationship, to make sense of it. And I truly think right now, she thinks we're going to be friends when this is all over. Once we can deal with the emotional thing, we'll reminisce on old times, and we'll support each other in life, and we'll see something funny and text each other. Hell no. No. This pain and misery I've been going through for months and will probably continue to go through, that's exhausting and aging and doesn't let me sleep or feel entirely happy for one whole day. Since she broke up with me, I have not had one day when I haven't thought about this for probably the majority of the day. Definitely not. And I spend hundreds of dollars on therapy. At no point have I been able to think, well, in 3 days, I will talk to my wife and I will get some answers that make sense. That hasn't happened. And she lied to my face over and over, saying she offered to go to therapy so many times. She didn't. It's a thing I've been desperate for. I would know if she offered to go to therapy with me. And it was infuriating because she was like, many times I offered. And I said, once. And I saved the voicemail. But she lied with such force that I can't tell if she believes it or not. I can't tell if she's just that good a liar or if she thinks she did, when I know for certain, for an absolute fact, she did not. But then you look like two kids in the schoolyard being like, yes I did, no I didn't, yes I did, no I didn't. I'm grateful for the people in my life that will talk to me on the phone for a long time and just help me talk through things and make sense of things. It helps flesh things out. It helps keep me from going crazy because I used to believe her with such certainty. Like the things she said were true. And very often she will assert things that are only partially true or just aren't true. And she does it so strongly that you think like, oh, that must be true then. I must be wrong. And that's happening in the breakup now, except I'm not buying it anymore. So I just got to the show park and I'm going to play a fun game called Walk Around Until You See Somebody You Know. It's huge, so I don't even know where to begin. I know I could just text somebody and get an answer, but I feel like wandering is fun, so we're going to give that a go. As I get these little glimpses of what my life could be like with her. I just reviewed the whole conversation that I had with my wife after mediation, about an hour and 20 minutes of talking all told. And I really fluctuate. I guess I shouldn't. It makes me want to, not that it matters. It took more than an hour of talking for her to even have a tiny bit of humanity or emotion in her voice. When she said she's sorry, she sounded real. It could be a who's to know if it's real or not at this point? God, it's so hard. It makes me feel so crazy. I mean, she can't handle emotional things right now. And that's another one of those, the premise is almost so bizarre that I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with it. The premise is basically, let's just technically get through the divorce. And then once we're divorced, we can talk about the emotional side of it. And from my perspective, once we're divorced, we're done. I would fight and try until the final papers are signed, But she just has her eye on the prize of moving forward, having a life with him, saving for kids, all that stuff. So then the rest of this just almost kind of feels like theatrics. The willingness to go to therapy, the willingness to do things, just to sort of lubricate the process, just to make sure that I'm good for mediation. And she talks about supporting each other in the process and being kind to each other. She'll make these threats like, if there's any possible chance of us ever being friends in the future, which is crazy. We were way more than friends. So what makes her think I want to step it back a notch and just be buddies in the future? The way in which she broke my heart, that's done. She did that. It's just one of those things you hear, and you're like, what? If we're ever going to be friends in the future, I'm not that's not like the contingency plan. Like, oh, well, if you ever break my heart and destroy me, maybe we can at least be friends. And you know, I'll babysit the kids you have with some other guy. Fuck no. She's upset because she's out of control, because I'm not playing the game the way she wants me to. I'll forever be a villain, and that sucks. It looks like we might get some color in the sky tonight, so I am going to go take the new drone on its maiden flight. Wanna see it? What? How cool is that? Things I've learned so far. The Phantom 4 is way louder than the Mavic. I think the picture quality is going to be amazing. If I broke up with her and then I was having this meeting where I was like, I'm so freaked out right now, just help me get divorced, she'd be like, the hell with you? F you broke my heart. That's how I should be. That's how she would treat me. She did the damage. Yeah, it's a weird thing. She created this scenario. She cheated, she broke up, she moved out, she's buying a farm, or she's buying a barn, she's doing all this. And she's criticizing me and the way I've handled it. That's mental. I'm allowed to handle this however I want to handle it. She ruined my life. But I need to remember that she did all of this. All of this is her. She created it. She managed it terribly. This is all her. I didn't do this. Yeah. Keep coming back to that me. I didn't do this. She did all of this. And now I'm being criticized for my behavior within it. That's bullshit. It took her so long to get me to mediation. Yeah. So? I just stuck my head in the sand. No, you broke my fucking heart, you idiot. You broke my heart and then expect me to comply quickly. No. No. See, I get soft. I get. All right, let me sum this up. Maybe more for me than for you, but this will help. So you're in a relationship, you're married, you're happy, you think everything's awesome, you've been together for 6.5 years, you're already planning what you're gonna make for your 5th anniversary present, because the 5th present is wood and you're a furniture maker, so you wanna make something really special. You've made reservations to go back to Chile to do another riding trip. Since I was never really happy with how I did my engagement the first time around, I was going to redo the proposal in Chile, and it was going to be amazing. So that sets the scene. Things are good. You know, life is good. You have a horse, you're learning to ride, like it's a wonderful life. She goes away on a trip, comes home, and shuts it off. Blindsides you, breaks you up. And just leaves. Just ups and leaves. Anytime you try and have an in-person conversation with her, she says she can't handle the emotional thing, she doesn't have time, she leaves. So she ups and leaves and doesn't... I don't know why I'm saying you. Well, just imagine it. She ups and leaves and won't give you the time you need to process. She won't answer the questions you have. She can't handle it. Months later, like now, she will be critical of the speed with which you dealt with things. And then she accuses me of being a con artist? Bitch. If you want to be friends with me, you'll be friends with me. You know how good I am.